Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. Double honors to the elders and apostles at GMS who rule well. Peace and salutations to you, Akim out there doing this work in truth and sincerity. Blessings to you, Akim and Thawadi Ba'ashem Yahushai, for letting me do this lesson through the Spirit, having the ability to do this, to do lessons. And this is an article from RFERL.org, and it's entitled NATO Chief Expects Russian Professionalism as Both Prepare for War Games, October 30th. So NATO, I believe NATO and Russia, they're both preparing for war games, and I believe they're close to each other, Slovakia, in the same vicinity, or if not, same facility, vicinity, not too far off. Which they're rivals. They're rivals going back to the Cold War, back when the Russians were the Soviet Union. You see, and this article reads, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg says he expects Russia to behave in a professional manner as the Russian Navy and the Western military alliance both conduct exercises in the same area in the waters off Norway's coast this week. Speaking on October 30th as he attended NATO's Trident Juncture War Games in his native Norway, Stoltenberg reiterates that the alliance was informed last week about Russia's planned tests of missiles in international waters off the Scandinavian country's coast from November 1st to the 3rd. The two missile tests in Trident Juncture exercises NATO largest since the end of the Cold War. So it's the largest NATO exercise, this Trident Juncture, since the Cold War. You see, that has to mean something, because it sounds like they're getting ready for something big. Otherwise, why would it be such a such a big lesson, or exercise? You see, and come and admit persistent tension between the alliance and Russia. And for edification's sake, let's go ahead and get basically NATO. What is it, real quick? You see, because you can't know what it is. Know about this big practice going on if you don't know who is involved. You see, it's NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Also, the Atlantic Alliance is an intergovernmental military alliance between 29 North American and European countries. The organization implements the North Atlantic Treaty that was signed on 4 April 1949. The founders are United States of America, which I pretty much knew that already. Is backed by the America. America is the muscle within NATO. You had Donald Trump telling NATO, pecking at NATO to pay more for, I believe, his defense, the defense system. And then NATO had to pay up and spend more money. You see, when he first came in office. And if I'm correct, that article mentions it as well. It says United States of America, Norway, France, United Kingdom, England, Belgium, Italy, Canada, Iceland, and more. I'm going to read this small little paragraph of what is NATO real quick. It says NATO is an alliance of countries from Europe and North America. It provides a unique link between these two continents, enabling them to consult and cooperate in the field of defense and security and conduct multinational crisis management operations together. I believe they're the white helmets. If I'm not if I'm not if I'm correct, uh, I have to check it, double check if that's right or not. And read on in this article, the Kremlin, which the Kremlin is like AKA for Russia, another it's another name for Russia, if I'm not mistaken. It says the Kremlin accuses the alliance of provocation behavior near its borders, while NATO has sharply criticized the annexation of Crimea, which Crimea seized from Ukraine in 2014. I remember that vividly, as well as Moscow's backing of separatists in an ongoing conflict in eastern Ukraine. It reads, Stoltenberg, a former Norwegian prime minister, sought to ease tensions, saying this wasn't the first time exercises had been held near each other without creating dangerous or difficult situations. So that is a dangerous and difficult situation, because who knows what can possibly take place, whether it be accident or through a false flag of some sort. You see, you know how America gets down. Read a little bit more on this article. It says, so I'm absolutely confident that the Russian forces will behave in a responsible way and act safely, as will, of course, the NATO forces, he added. I'm really more concerned about NATO, you see, because Russia has been playing the safe side for the most part when it comes to America and NATO. They don't start shit on purpose. But you know what the scriptures say, how the Yahweh Bashim Yahshai puts the instructions inside of these leaders, so to speak. So you never know what could crack off, and I'm gonna get that for edification. The book of Jeremiah, 50 and 22. It reads, a sound of battle is in the land, and of great destruction. Okay, that sound of battle is in the land. There's gonna be all types of sounds in that land, off that coast. Okay, in Norway, when they do these battles, you see, that's a sound of battle. Although it's still practice, it's gearing up for something, a battle to come. You see, and of great destruction, because if they're doing military exercises with missiles involved, then they're gearing up for a great destruction, because we know the ICBM nuclear missiles is the end all be all, the great destruction, a great punisher, and Russia has all the nuts and bolts to complete that, man. As far as nuclear missiles go, okay. Russia is let me read on verse 23. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? You see, because at the end of the day, that war is going to be brought over here. Going back, alluding back to the World War III. That sound of battle in the land is going to ultimately be heard here in America at the end of the day, through prophecy. You see, and I'll read this other article. I got another article really quick. It says it's from time.net, time.com, whatever. It says NATO is in the middle of an expensive and dangerous military exercise. Here's why those war games are worth it. It says in quotations, the alliance sees the war games as crucial. October 29th. I was in Naples, in Italy, recently and spent time with the commander of NATO Joint Force Command, Admiral Jamie Fogo, at a tall, forceful nuclear submarine commander. He is currently deployed to Norway, leading the largest military exercise in the alliance post-Cold War history. Over 50 troops, or 50, over 50,000 troops, hundreds of aircraft, and dozens of warships under his command are spread out around northern Europe as part of Exercise Trident Conjuncture. In addition to the 29 NATO countries, both Sweden and Finland will have significant roles, and another non-NATO nation has a role too. While the adversary in the exercise is fictional, it is clearly modeled on Russia. And I'm gonna read this precept, and then I'm gonna close it out. It's the book of Revelation 2:9. Revelation 2:9. Is it 2:9 or 2:19? No, that's not it. Let me find it. Slovakia. True. I have to Google it. Okay, Revelation 11 and 14. Slovakia. Revelation 11 and 14. It says, the second woe is, Revelation 11 and 14, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. So that third woe is coming quickly, man. You know, that World War III. You had World War I, World War II. Now that World War III is gonna come, man, swiftly. You see, and that's what is gonna be the coming, and knowing that the coming of our Lord Yahushua. It has to happen. I'm gonna read the rest of this. It says our exercise runs for 2 weeks, ending on November 7th, and centered on defending NATO territory from a predatory invasion. Of note, there will be a U.S. carrier strike group centered on the nuclear carrier USS Harry S. Truman, operating in the harsh late fall winters of the Greenland, Iceland, United Kingdom gap, the body of water that NATO would have to control to cut off Russian naval forces in the event of a war. It all has a very Tom Clancy's back feel to it, you see. So Esau's getting back in that great American badass, Billy Badass type of spirit. So